Hi, good morning. I'm wearing my UCI gear for you all today. I wanted to show you I finally got my white coat. Let me see if I can show you my name there. Look at it is official. Caliwelli is pooped out over there. Um, but I just wanted to really quick thank those of you who were able to make it out this morning to the UC Davis pre-health conference. Your insightful questions were so great. It really gave me the opportunity to reflect on how this experience in med school has been so far and helped me to remind myself the importance of mentorship and the importance of it even on a platform like this where maybe I'm only reaching like a couple people. I know personally as an undergrad, as a high school student, going to some of those workshops, reading some forums, watching YouTube videos, like all of that. Every now and then I would get like these little gold nuggets of advice and tips and information that I think collectively made such a positive impact on and influence on how I got where I am today. So hopefully this interview does the same for you. Hopefully this video does the same for you because I wanted to talk a little bit about interviews, especially now since the dynamic has changed so much. Because I think for this cycle at least, most, if not all, medical schools are doing their interviews now via Zoom. And so I think there are a couple of tips, if you haven't already heard, that I think that might be helpful to know. And one of that is that when you're doing your interview, right, try not to look at the frame, but instead keep focus on the lens because it mimics eye contact. And personally, I think that it's a good idea to be completely dressed from head to toe in professional attire because it, at least personally, it makes me like stand up a little bit straighter. It puts you in that professional space. And because you're at home, because you're in the comfort of your own home or wherever you are where you're going to be doing the Zoom interview, I think it's easy to feel like disconnected. So there are caveats to doing your interview via Zoom, right? I mean, you're not able to tour the campus, meet medical students in person, talk to faculty members, but keep in mind, like, you're saving so much money. There is a silver lining. Like, you don't have to pay for flight costs, for train costs, for bus costs. You don't have to pay for like hotels or hostels or wherever you would be staying. You're saving tons of money. And the application process already itself can be super expensive. So I would say that, it does have its pros and cons. And I think another benefit to having your interview via Zoom is that you can actually dictate or influence how your background looks. And I think that it's important to make sure that it's professional, it's clean, it's neat, right? That it's not too busy. But also it gives you an opportunity to showcase a little bit about yourself, whether that's art, whether that's like music instruments, whether that's books. I mean, that it gives the interviewer an invitation to your space, an invitation into what your passions lie or where your interests or hobbies lie outside of medicine. And I think that can always be a talking point. With that being said, I think it's also important to recognize that every interviewer is different and their styles are different. And it's important not to expect the interviewer to always ask you like these plethora of medical school questions or oriented questions. And the reason why I say this is because I had a medical school interviewer that really let me take the lead in the conversation. She asked me one question or a few questions, but the first primary question she asked me was, tell me about yourself. I answered that, and her subsequent questions were follow-ups to what I was saying. So she didn't ask me, I think, all of the questions that I was prepared for to showcase all of the experiences I was proud of, the skill sets that I had, and it really threw me off. I was unprepared for that completely. And that, I think that's just something to keep in mind because I don't know if I mentioned this, but my interview ended up being super short, only 10 minutes, because I just answered questions and that's it. I didn't like probe her much more beyond that, or find a way to integrate what I wanted to say more naturally into the conversation. So, practice is gonna make for a better interview. I think that if you don't have access to somebody who's a professional or in the health profession to practice interviewing with, just practicing with people you're comfortable and uncomfortable with. I only practice with my family members, and I practice with my little nephews. And I think that was actually really helpful because they're kids. So I had to make sure that their interests, that they remain interested, that they remain engaged in the conversation. And surprisingly, they kind of didn't make me nervous. So just, practice as much as you can. And practice also in front of a camera, so you can kind of see how your posture is. You can see like any little nuances that you do. I noticed in the making of this video that I say a lot when I'm thinking about things. So, fillers, try to cut that out as much as possible. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to point out, but I think that's it. The videos I'm going to show you now are just videos that I showed you that I made in the application process while I was applying. So these were videos like I did right after or during the interviews, I think. And so hopefully that will be helpful, because I think those are just notes that I took like in real time versus what I'm saying right now, which is just remote memory. But I just wanted to leave off with saying, all of you are worthy of being in medical school. It's not for the faint of heart. It's a profession that requires a lot of selflessness and a lot of sacrifice. And if it takes you a little bit more time to realize where your passions lie, then do that. I think that it will only help you in discovering what's really important to you, and also work in your favor if you do decide to continue with applying to medical school. I say that because I don't regret a single experience that I was a part of as a pre-med, even those that kind of distracted me from my academics. And that's not to say that academics aren't important, because they are, and it's not to say that to not prioritize them, unlike what I did, because do that. But I think what I'm trying to get at is that now more than ever, medical schools are paying attention to what you're doing outside of the classroom, and they're paying attention to what you're genuinely passionate about and interested in. And that's sometimes not so always inherent to people. Sometimes it takes time to figure out where that is. And social advocacy, I think people are starting to recognize that's more important. That it's essential. I think that this pandemic has exposed that. And so, whatever you're doing, whatever you're a part of, if it's necessary to you for your happiness, for your feeling of meaning and purposefulness in life, don't give it up. That's all I can say. Reach out to people whose values you admire, whose experiences you can only dream of having, and try to learn from their mistakes and learn from their success and achievements. And don't forget to support and love the people who support you, and be supportive to your community and to your peers. It's easy to get caught up in the competitiveness of it all, but we're all in the same fight together. So that's my little spiel. Other than that, I hope you have a great day, and please feel free to ask me any questions that you may like. I am more than an open book, and I am so excited to continue this journey with you all.